In the quiet halls of her high school, Ava had perfected the art of disappearing. She wasn't bullied. She wasn't mocked. She was simply overlooked. She wasn't the girl with the loud laugh that turned heads, or the girl with the confident strut, surrounded by a circle of eager followers. Ava was the girl whose name teachers paused to remember. The girl who sat in the third row, near the window. The one who never raised her hand, because no one expected her to. Her existence floated on the edge of every conversation. People saw her, sure, but not really. And if you've ever been invisible, you know that silence can feel heavier than cruelty. She used to think that being ignored hurt less than being hated. But that was before she realized just how loud loneliness could become in a crowded room. Every morning, she'd wake up, glance at her reflection, and try to figure out what was wrong. Too plain? Too quiet? Too forgettable? She didn't hate her face, but she didn't love it either. It just didn't seem to belong in a world where beauty came with highlighter, sharp cheekbones, and filters that could change your bone structure. Her phone, like everyone else's, was a window into another universe. Scrolling through Instagram was like flipping through a magazine where everyone was the cover model, where natural looked suspiciously perfect, and bare-faced was somehow still flawless. She followed the girls with the viral routines. The ones who posted their no makeup looks that somehow involved 12 steps and cost more than her entire closet. She'd watch in awe, envy burning beneath her skin, wondering how they made it look so easy, so effortless, so wanted. Then, at night, she'd sit on her bed and open the camera, just to see what she could become. Angles, lighting, a little blur here, a little smooth there. She wasn't proud of it, but she wasn't alone either. Some of you watching right now, you've done it too, haven't you? Tried to become someone more visible, more desirable, just to feel enough. And if you're listening to this, maybe you're wondering how Ava went from invisible to viral. Well, it didn't happen because she changed who she was. It happened because she pretended to. But let's not jump ahead just yet. Because before the flood of followers, before the flame emojis, the reposts, the fan pages, the brand DMs, there was just Ava. A quiet girl with a cheap phone, a cracked mirror, and a silent ache to be seen. It started with a challenge. Not a dare, not exactly. More like a whisper between classmates in the hallway. Someone had said, she could be cute if she tried. A joke, probably. But Ava heard it, and something inside her stirred. Not anger. Not sadness. Something different. Resolve. That night, she sat in front of her mirror with a decision trembling in her chest. She didn't know how to contour. She barely knew what bronzer was for. But she had YouTube. She had time. And she had desperation. That's a powerful combination. It took hours. She followed tutorials, paused every 30 seconds, mimicked every stroke like it was life or death. She didn't look like herself when she was done. But, for once, she didn't hate what she saw. She looked sharp, defined. Like someone who belonged in the world she had only ever watched through her screen. She took a picture. Posted it on a whim. Captioned it with a single word, hi. No hashtags. No filter tags. No clever emoji lineup. Just, hi. What happened next felt like lightning through her veins. A like. Then another. Then 10. Then 20. By midnight, her phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Her photo had landed on the Explore page. Strangers were commenting things like, OMG goals, and, you're stunning. People who never looked her way in class suddenly followed her. DMs from boys she'd never spoken to. Girls asking about her routine. Ava didn't sleep that night. She just stared at her phone, and smiled. For the first time in her life, people were choosing to see her. The next morning, the halls felt different. Eyes lingered longer. People whispered louder. A girl bumped into her near the lockers and actually said, sorry. Another girl asked what shade her lipstick was. It was drugstore. She lied and said it was imported. Funny how fast the world changes when people believe you're beautiful. But as Ava walked to class, clutching her phone like it was her passport to this new life, she felt a strange ache beneath the thrill. Because she knew, deep down, that what they were seeing wasn't really her. And yet, she couldn't stop. She didn't want to stop. Who would? After spending your life invisible, who would willingly fade again? So she leaned in. New posts. Better lighting. More makeup. More edits. Each day, more attention. More comments. More pressure. The weight of being seen was heavier than she expected. But for now, none of that mattered. Because Ava was finally, undeniably, visible. She had become what she once admired. And for a brief, glittering moment, she forgot that facades crack. That masks slip. That filters fail. She forgot that one day soon, someone would show the world what she really looked like underneath it all. And when that day came, everything would shatter. But not yet. For now, Ava smiled for the camera. Painted her face like armor. And hit post. Globe, which country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. Let's see how far this story travels. And if Ava's story already has you hooked, don't forget to subscribe to Heartfelt Tales TV, where every story is a mirror to someone's truth. Because sometimes, the most unbelievable stories are the ones hiding in plain sight. After that first viral photo, Ava's world stopped spinning the way it used to. For the first time in her life, she wasn't drifting through the hallways like a ghost. She was being noticed. Commented on. DM'd. Liked. And just like that, the rules of her universe change. But being seen? That came with a cost. And she was about to find out just how expensive that glow could be. Before all this, mornings for Ava had been simple. 5 more minutes of sleep. A hoodie. A ponytail. Out the door. But now, things were different. She set her alarm for 2 hours earlier than usual. Because transformation? It didn't happen in 10 minutes. Not when you were trying to maintain a fantasy. She studied makeup tutorials like she was cramming for finals. Blush placement. Lighting tricks. Even editing apps that subtly smoothed without looking too fake. Every new product she saved up for felt like a ticket to staying relevant. She didn't just apply makeup. She sculpted an identity. One contour line at a time. By the end of her morning routine, Ava no longer looked like the girl from last semester. She looked like someone the world might actually remember. And it worked. The whispers followed her through the school halls like perfume. Who is she dating? Did she always look like that? I swear she's gonna be famous. And that feeling, being the center of attention, was like fire in her veins. It was addictive. Dangerous. Irresistible. She should have felt proud. Empowered. But there was something else creeping in too. Fear. Because every compliment felt conditional. Every, "you're gorgeous," sounded like, "as long as you stay that way." Her social media exploded. Follower count climbing by the hour. Her photo had landed on 3 beauty inspo pages by day 2. People she'd never met were calling her a goddess. A muse. A whole vibe. She laughed at first. Then panicked. Because they didn't know her. Not really. And what if they found out? What if someone she knew from before shared an old photo? What if they saw her on a bad day? What if one smudge of eyeliner ruined the illusion? So, she worked harder. Perfected the look. She made beauty her job, even though it didn't pay. She gave herself roles. Morning Ava, soft glam for the daylight. Lunch break Ava, touch-ups in the mirror between classes. Evening Ava, golden hour selfies with perfect captions and the illusion of effortless living. Every post took 20 shots. Every shot took 10 edits. Every edit stole a little more of her real face. But people didn't want real. They wanted Ava 2.0. And she was terrified of disappointing them. Her weekends changed too. No more lazy mornings in pajamas. No more face masks with her mom in the kitchen. Now it was outfit planning. Lighting tests. Casual, mirror selfies that took an hour to perfect. Even going to the store felt like a performance. What if someone recognized her? What if they saw her bare face? So she wore mascara to the gas station. Lip gloss to the library. A full face, just to walk the dog. She told herself it was part of the brand. But deep down, she knew the truth. She wasn't building a brand. She was building a prison. Still, the outside world applauded her. Girls asked for tutorials. Boys reposted her selfies. Even teachers began calling on her more in class. One teacher said, "You seem so confident lately, Ava." She smiled politely. But inside? She wanted to scream. Confidence? No. She was just afraid to blink without eyeliner. At home, things started to shift too. Her mom, once amused by Ava's new routines, began to worry. "You okay?" she asked one night, watching Ava retake the same photo 6 times at dinner. "I'm just keeping up," Ava replied, barely glancing up. Keeping up with what? Ava didn't answer. Because how could she explain that she was keeping up with everyone? With the version of herself the internet loved. With the image she'd accidentally made viral. With the girl she wished she was, but wasn't. One afternoon, while scrolling through her comments, Ava saw a message that froze her in place. "This can't be real. She's totally fake. Let's see the real her." A chill ran down her spine. She clicked on the profile. Blank. No posts. No photo. Just a burner account. But it wasn't the message itself that scared her. It was the truth inside it. That night, she took off her makeup slower than usual. She avoided the mirror until the very last moment. And when she finally looked, it felt like staring at a stranger. Where were her cheekbones? Where was the glow? The girl looking back at her had tired eyes. Small blemishes. Uneven brows. But she also had depth. History. Softness. The real Ava. Unfiltered. Unseen. Unloved. She sighed. Then turned off the light. The next day, she went back to the mask. Because no one claps for the girl who doesn't play the part. And Ava? She needed the claps. Desperately. She started investing more into the illusion. Rented dresses she'd return the next week. Bought skincare just for the packaging. Posted fake, "Get ready with me," videos where she pretended to have events to go to. There were no events. No parties. No invites. But the comments didn't know that. They just said, "Obsessed. Goals. Queen behavior." And for a moment, those words drowned out the fear. But only for a moment. Because deep down, Ava knew something the world didn't. This glow-up was built on a gamble. A bet that she could keep fooling everyone forever. That no one would ever peel back the layers. That no one would ever see the girl behind the glam. But someone was watching. Someone who remembered her real face. Someone who didn't believe the illusion. And that someone? They were about to make a move. For a brief, glittering moment, Ava wasn't just popular. She was reigning. Not just seen. Not just admired. But adored. She was the girl everyone wanted to be, and the girl every guy now noticed. Her name wasn't whispered anymore. It was spoken loudly, confidently, with a mixture of awe and envy. They called her, that girl. The girl who came out of nowhere. The girl with the glow. The one who woke up pretty and turned an entire school upside down. It was surreal. One day she was invisible, the next, unstoppable. Even the people who once walked past her like she was furniture now slid into her DMs with heart emojis and compliments like they'd always known her. "I knew you had it in you. Total transformation, babe. Let's hang out sometime?" Ava didn't reply to most. But she read every word. Over and over again. Because part of her needed them, these comments, these messages, these digital reminders that she was finally wanted. She sat in the cafeteria now surrounded by people. Girls who used to ignore her now asked for selfie tips. One even handed her a makeup brush and said, "Fix me, queen." She laughed, pretending it was all lighthearted. But inside? There was a tightness in her chest. Because none of these girls knew the panic that came with trying to stay perfect. Ava couldn't just be anymore. She had to maintain. Perform. Deliver. Every single day. The thing about being queen is, people expect you to rule without cracking. To smile. To shimmer. To never fall off the throne. Even when your knees are trembling. One afternoon, a teacher pulled her aside. "You seem different lately. Are you all right?" She smiled. Said she was just focused. Feeling more confident. And the teacher nodded. But if he looked closer, He might have seen the dark circles behind her concealer. He might have seen the weight on her shoulders that wasn't from her schoolbooks, but from the burden of being everyone's favorite version of herself. She was getting followers by the hundreds now. Her photos were being shared. Her TikToks reposted with captions like, "How did she get so pretty? She's glowing up faster than my GPA." This is what happens when you level up. The attention was overwhelming and electrifying. But Ava began to notice something. With every like came a comparison. Girls from other schools were now duetting her content, doing their own versions of her looks, competing silently. She wasn't just admired anymore. She was a benchmark. And with benchmarks come expectations, pressure, and critics. The first cruel comment hit differently than she expected. "Too much makeup. Bet she looks like a troll without it. Imagine waking up next to that." She laughed, out loud, pretended to brush it off. But at night, in the silence of her room, it replayed. Over, and over, and over. Because deep down, she feared it might be true. Still, she pushed forward. She had to. This was her moment. Her 24-hour reign. Even if it meant giving up everything else. Her grades slipped. She barely spoke to her mom anymore. Even her real friends, what few she had, stopped reaching out. They said things like, "You're too cool for us now. You've changed." Maybe she had. Or maybe, she just stopped being someone people ignored. Either way, the crown was hers now. But it was lonely at the top. That Friday, she was invited to a senior party. Not just any party, the party. The one hosted by one of the most followed girls in school. Ava didn't know her well. In fact, she was pretty sure the girl had laughed at her outfit once last year. But now? Now she was getting personal invites. The DM read, "You're coming tonight, right? Can't wait to meet the icon herself," throwing kisses. Her stomach flipped. Icon. The word echoed in her mind like a drumbeat. She stared at her closet for hours before choosing her outfit. She changed 3 times. Redid her eyeliner twice. Her hands trembled as she fixed her lashes. This wasn't just a party. It was a stage. And she was the lead. When she walked in, heads turned. She felt it. The rush of eyes on her, the low gasps, the envy masked as admiration. The queen had arrived. Girls she didn't know complimented her hair. Guys offered her drinks with cocky smiles. People laughed too hard at her jokes. They asked for selfies. She took them all. She smiled. Posed. Played her part. But somewhere between the music and the flashing lights, Ava felt herself drifting. Not into the crowd. But into something darker. Like she was watching the whole thing from a distance. Like the girl they were fawning over wasn't really her. Just a version she created. And now couldn't escape. She went to the bathroom midway through the party. Closed the door. Looked in the mirror. The lights were dim, but her reflection stared back, exhausted. Her foundation was cracking under the heat. Her lashes were slightly off. Lipstick faded. The illusion was slipping. And the fear came rushing back in. She scrubbed her face clean when she got home that night. Tried to go to bed. But her phone buzzed again. New comments. New DMs. New expectations. She looked at her makeup table, now cluttered with bottles and brushes. Her phone. Her light ring. Her mask. This wasn't just a glow up. This was her full-time job now. And the job came with a rule. You're only loved if you stay perfect. The next morning, she woke up to over 12,000 likes on her latest post. Queen. Obsessed. Most beautiful girl in school. But then, just beneath the sea of hearts and fire emojis, a comment that made her freeze. Y'all ever seen her without makeup though? Just wait. She clicked the profile. Blank. Another burner. Her heart started pounding. It wasn't just a troll. It was a threat. A warning. Someone was watching. Someone knew. Someone was ready to break the illusion. She didn't tell anyone. Not even her mother. Not her classmates. She just turned her phone over and tried to breathe. But it was no use. Because deep down, she knew the truth. You can only be queen for so long before someone comes to drag the crown off your head. In the world Ava had just stepped into, everything glittered. The likes, the comments, the compliments, the invitations. It looked like popularity, felt like acceptance, and tasted almost like love. But behind the shimmer, something darker stirred. Because when the spotlight hits you, it also casts a shadow. And in that shadow, not everyone's cheering for you. The numbers were climbing faster than Ava could keep up. 12K turned to 18K. Then 25. Then 32. People started calling her an influencer. Some said she was the next Addison. Others whispered her name like a secret they wanted to keep for themselves. But not all the whispers were kind. Not all the follows were friendly. In class, girls smiled at her with too many teeth. Offered to walk with her to the bathroom. Linked arms like old friends. Some of them used to ignore her. Some used to snicker when she walked by. One even threw gum in her hair last year. Now they were saying things like, "Girl, I always knew you were that girl. You had to teach me your contour trick. Let's totally collab sometime." It should have felt good. Validating. Like a dream come true. But it felt hollow. Too perfect. Too sudden. Like everyone had decided Ava was valuable now, but only as long as she stayed shiny. At lunch, her old friend Nadia walked past without even looking her way. Ava noticed. Of course she noticed. They hadn't spoken in a week. She tried texting. Got one-word replies. Eventually, none at all. They used to trade snacks and share hoodies. Now Nadia acted like Ava had become invisible again. But not in the way she used to be. This time, she was deliberately unseen. Frozen out. Ghosted in real life. The fake friends filled the silence. There was Jess, loud, popular, always center of attention. She suddenly invited Ava to join her table. "We need some beauty at this end," she'd said, looping her arm around Ava like they were besties. Then there was Mia, the fashion girl. She started tagging Ava in stories, saying things like, "My daily muse 2 hearts." They all laughed too hard at her jokes. Gaslighted her into thinking they were close. But Ava wasn't blind. She heard the way Jess's voice changed when Ava turned her back. The little jabs. She tries too hard. Her nose contour is wild. Wait till someone catches her slipping. Ava smiled through it. Pretended she didn't hear. But every word burrowed into her skin like splinters. Because she was smart enough to know. Not everyone who claps for you wants you to win. The DMs, too, had shifted. From cute boys saying, "Hey," to anonymous accounts sending messages like, "Catfish. You ain't even all that without makeup. Bet your real face would scare children." She blocked one. Then another. Then 20 more. But it didn't stop. With fame came attention. With attention came envy. And with envy came the venom. Then one afternoon, during free period, she checked her mentions. There it was. A TikTok someone made using one of her earlier photos, before the glow up. It was a video comparison. Slide 1. Ava, bare-faced, from a school photo. Slide 2. Ava now, full glam, posing like a model. Caption. Makeup is black magic skull lipstick #filterfish. It had 43,000 views. And it wasn't even posted by someone she knew well. Just a girl from 4th period math. One who smiled at Ava every morning. Who'd asked for her foundation shade just 3 days ago. The betrayal punched Ava in the gut. She stared at the screen, mouth dry. She clicked the comments, hoping, praying, someone was defending her. But they were worse. Drag her. This is why I have trust issues. She's built like 2 different people. She turned off her phone. Tried to breathe. But the sting was already under her skin. At home, Ava locked her door and didn't come out for dinner. She sat on her bed, blanket around her like armor. Her phone buzzed. New followers. She was still gaining. Still climbing. But it didn't feel like a victory anymore. Because now she knew. They weren't following her. They were following the image. The mask. The fantasy. And the second it slipped, They'd eat her alive. The next day, she walked into school with sunglasses on. Inside. In the hallways. People laughed. Some complimented her. Others posted her in the background of their stories with little crown emojis and "Crown Queen" written in Comic Sans. She played along. Smiled. Posed. Even winked at the camera. But inside? She felt like a puppet. Like everyone wanted something from her. And if she couldn't give it, they'd toss her aside. That week, Jess invited Ava to a sleepover. It felt off. The invite came with too much enthusiasm. "You have to come," she said. "It's girls only, just us baddies." Ava hesitated. "Will there be photos?" Jess laughed. "No pressure. Come bare-faced. It's chill, I promise." That word again. Bare-faced. It made Ava's stomach twist. Still, she said yes. She didn't want to seem scared. Didn't want to give them power. So she packed a small bag, stuffed it with makeup just in case, and showed up with her best fake smile. At the sleepover, things felt okay at first. Pizza. Music. Gossip. Fake laughs. They did face masks. Took videos. Filmed a few, hot or not, reaction games. Jess handed Ava a soda and said, "You're one of us now." The glow-up goddess. The room clapped, giggling. But behind the giggles, Ava sensed something sharp. Like they were waiting for something. Or watching for something to slip. Later that night, Ava fell asleep early, exhausted, drained, emotionally empty. What she didn't know. Someone filmed her. Snapped a photo. No makeup. Face relaxed. Unfiltered. Unaware. And that photo? It was already scheduled to post. Ava had always believed that beauty was armor. That with enough bronzer, you could disguise sadness. That with perfectly arched brows, you could distract the world from your fear. That with contour deep enough, sharp enough, no one would see the girl behind the mask. But she was wrong. Because when cracks start to form behind the contour, they don't just ruin the look. They reveal the truth. And once the truth is out, there's no filter strong enough to save you. It started with silence. Not the peaceful kind. Not the comforting, quiet lull you get at night. This silence was heavy. Suffocating. Dangerous. After her bare-faced photo leaked, the noise came fast: gasps, comments, likes, reposts. But then, it all stopped. Ava checked her phone like a habit. Like muscle memory. But there were no new mentions. No DMs. No tagged stories. And when she walked down the halls, the looks had changed. She wasn't the glowing girl anymore. She wasn't trending. She was old news. Replaced by the next girl in line. She went from that girl to that one. A footnote. A lesson. A warning. And the worst part? No one said it to her face. Not Jess. Not Mia. Not the classmates who once called her Queen. They just ghosted her. In real life. The same way people unfollow quietly. They unfriended her presence. Politely. Perfectly. Like her downfall was just inevitable. At home, she didn't even try anymore. Her makeup kit sat unopened for 3 days. The brushes, still stained. The lashes, crusted and curled. Her phone buzzed occasionally, mostly from spam brands or distant classmates asking if she was okay. But she didn't reply. Because how do you explain to someone that you're grieving a version of yourself? That you feel like a ghost of the girl you were only a week ago? That you can't look in the mirror without feeling like you're staring at your own obituary? Nadia texted again. "I miss you." Just that. Ava stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the keyboard. But what could she even say? "Sorry I chose fame over friendship. Sorry I ignored you while I was busy pretending I was someone worth liking." The words didn't come. So she said nothing. School became a blur. She wore hoodies again. Stopped wearing mascara. Avoided eye contact. Some part of her had hoped that going back to the old Ava would bring back the old peace. But it didn't. Because now, even invisibility felt loud. People didn't just ignore her. They recognized her. Not for who she was, but for who she used to be. The girl from the TikTok. The before and after meme. The punchline. She once walked through the hall with her chin high, flanked by admiration. Now? She walked alone. Shoulders hunched. Breath shallow. Eyes locked on the floor. The contour had faded. But the shame remained. One day during lunch, she heard someone say, honestly, she was asking for it. Ava didn't look up. But her ears burned. She acted like she was better than everyone, someone else chimed in. Just because she figured out how to edit her jawline. Laughter. Ugly. Sharp. Echoing. Ava stood up. Left her tray. Walked straight to the bathroom. She locked herself in the stall and stared at the chipped paint on the door. Her heart was racing. Her palms sweaty. She felt small. Smaller than she had in months. Not because she wasn't glowing, but because she knew now. Her value in their eyes had always been conditional. Conditional on beauty. On maintenance. On illusion. And once the illusion shattered, so did their loyalty. That night, she did something she hadn't done in weeks. She turned her camera on. Front facing. No makeup. No filters. No ring light. Just Ava. She stared at the screen. She didn't record. Didn't post. Just looked. And it hit her. How much she hated this girl. And how deeply unfair that was. Because this was the girl who cried when her parents fought. The girl who stayed up late helping Nadia study. The girl who used to doodle eyeliner looks in the corners of her notebooks, just for fun. This girl, the real one, had survived the silence. The hate. The loss. And yet, Ava could barely meet her own gaze. She whispered, "I'm sorry." To herself. To the reflection. To the girl she abandoned for fame. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't performative. Just honest. Raw. A crack, maybe. But one that let the truth shine through. The next day, she came to school bare-faced on purpose. No hoodie. No glasses. No glam. Just Ava. Some people still whispered. Some laughed. One girl took a photo. But Ava didn't hide. She held her head high. Eyes forward. She felt like she was walking through fire. But each step made her feel a little more free. Because here's the truth. A glow-up doesn't have to mean losing who you are. And going bare doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you're done hiding. She passed by Nadia in the hallway. They locked eyes. This time, Ava smiled first. It wasn't perfect. Wasn't posed. But it was real. And Nadia? She smiled back. Not with pity. Not with judgment. Just warmth. Later that night, Ava sat at her desk, staring at a blank caption box. She had a photo. Unedited. Her real skin. Her real eyes. Just her. And for once, that felt like enough. She typed, "I'm still me. Even without the glow, heartbreak sparkles." She paused. Then hit post. No hashtags. No filters. No audience in mind. Just a girl reclaiming her face. The likes came slower this time. But they came. And more importantly, so did the messages. From other girls. From strangers. From old friends. "Thank you for this. You're brave. I needed to see this today." And slowly, something inside Ava softened. Not healed. Not yet. But no longer broken. Because behind the contour, behind the screen, behind the version of herself she thought she had to be, was someone still standing. Still fighting. Still worthy. Even with cracks. Especially with cracks. Dimmed the lights. Passed around popcorn. Ava sat in the corner of the couch, curled in a throw blanket. Her eyes were tired. So was her soul. Somewhere between scene 3 and Foo by now, Ava had learned the hard way. Popularity doesn't come with a warning label. It doesn't come with rules or safety nets. Only consequences. And sometimes, it arrives with an invitation. Wrapped in glitter. Laced with fake smiles. and stamped with betrayal. It was a Friday afternoon when the message came in. A group text. Jess. Girls' night this weekend. My place. No makeup. No pressure. Just vibes. Nail care revolving hearts. Mia replied with a dozen heart emojis. Laura added, can't wait. Pajamas and secrets, let's go. Ava stared at her screen. She hesitated. Because something in her gut told her, this wasn't just about fun. But she was tired of saying no. Tired of sitting out. Tired of being the ex-queen everyone whispered about. So she typed, I'm in. And just like that, the trap was set. Saturday night came fast. Ava packed a small overnight bag. Just essentials. A change of clothes. Toothbrush. And makeup, just in case. She stood in front of her mirror before leaving. No lashes. No foundation. No concealer. Just moisturizer and a swipe of tinted balm. She looked soft. Maybe even sweet. She took one long breath. Then whispered to her reflection. Don't let them break you. Jess's house was bigger than Ava expected. It had one of those grand entrances with a spiral staircase and a living room that looked like a showroom. She was greeted with squeals and glitter. Look who finally showed up. Hey, the queen returns. She's giving cozy girl realness tonight. Ava smiled. Pretended it didn't feel forced. Pretended the spotlight didn't burn. The night began the way most sleepovers do. Pizza. Loud music. Polaroids. Dance challenges. At first, it almost felt normal. Like maybe, just maybe, these girls meant it. Maybe they really wanted her back. Maybe the silence from the leaked photo was just temporary. Maybe things were smoothing over. But Ava knew better than to get too comfortable. They gathered in the living room, nestled under blankets. A half-circle of girls, phones in hand, giggling over nothing and everything. Jess passed out face masks. Let's do no filter facials, she said. It's time we all get comfy in our own skin. Ava's heart skipped. She nodded. Her hands trembled a little as she peeled the mask open. They played games after that. Hot seat. Truth or dare. Never have I ever. Innocent at first. Until it turned. Jess leaned forward, holding a phone in one hand and a mischievous glint in her eyes. Okay, Ava, your turn. Truth or dare? Ava hesitated. Truth. Jess smirked. Have you ever edited your face on Insta before posting? Ava blinked. The air shifted. Mia laughed nervously. One girl sipped her soda to hide a smile. She felt her cheeks warm. Yes, she admitted, sometimes. Doesn't everyone? A few of the girls nodded. Jess shrugged. Fair. But something in her voice said otherwise. Something in her voice said gotcha. Later, they turned on a movie. She started to drift. She felt safe enough to close her eyes. But not safe enough to sleep deep. Not in a house filled with girls who smiled with their teeth. She didn't notice the camera. Didn't see the flash. Didn't hear the soft giggle that followed. But someone did take a photo. A quiet one. Angled from across the room. Captured while she was half asleep. No contour. No gloss. No prep. Just Ava. And someone whispered. She looks so different like this. When she woke up the next morning, the room was empty. Only Jess was still in the kitchen, sipping iced coffee like nothing had happened. Morning, sleeping beauty, she said. Ava smiled, awkwardly. Gathered her things. And walked home. But the whole way back, she couldn't shake the feeling. Like something had happened. Something she missed. Or maybe something planned. She didn't think much of it until later that night. Until the group chat went quiet. Until Mia removed her from a shared story. Until Jess posted a blurry photo of the crew from the night before, and Ava wasn't in it. And then her phone buzzed. An Instagram tag. Private account. She clicked it. And her stomach turned. It was the photo. The one from the sleepover. Captioned. So much for natural beauty skull. Hashtag no filter was a bad idea. The comments were brutal. She fell off hard. This is why I trust no one with a ring light. She catfished an entire school and now looks like someone's uncle. Her mouth went dry. Her hands shook. This wasn't just mean. This was intentional. This was betrayal. And suddenly, everything clicked. The invitation. The face masks. The camera. The carefully chosen, truth, question. It wasn't a sleepover. It was a setup. A public execution in pajamas. And Ava? She walked right into it. She locked her phone. Sat on the edge of her bed. She didn't cry. Not right away. She just sat there. Stunned. Exhausted. Exposed. Because it wasn't just a photo this time. It was trust. Broken. Again. And then, the panic set in. What if colleges saw this? What if it made its way to Reddit threads? What if strangers began mocking her in TikToks the way she once dreamed of being featured? She had gone viral before. But this time, for all the wrong reasons. She opened her phone again. Clicked, report post. Then blocked the account. But she knew it was too late. Screenshots live forever. And reputations? They crack faster than highlighter on oily skin. Nadia texted her. This time, Ava answered. Can I come over? She wrote. Right now? Nadia replied. Of course. That night, Ava sat cross-legged on Nadia's bed, retelling every detail. From the sleepover. To the setup. To the photo. She expected judgment. But all Nadia said was, they were never your friends. You know that, right? Ava nodded slowly. The truth was bitter. But necessary. Maybe I just wanted to feel like I belonged, she whispered. Nadia looked at her. You do belong, just not with people who make you feel disposable. They didn't talk much after that. They didn't need to. Sometimes, healing begins in silence. Sometimes, it's sitting beside someone who knows who you were before the glow up. Before the crown. Before the fall. Ava never went to another sleepover again. At least not the kind that required masks to fit in. She learned something that weekend. Sometimes, the biggest glow down isn't losing followers. It's realizing how few were ever real to begin with. By Sunday evening, Ava didn't recognize the girl staring back at her in the mirror. Not because she looked different, but because everything that used to hold her together, the confidence, the armor, the illusion, had come undone. Her hair was messy. Her skin, bare. Her eyes, dim. She looked less like a teenage starlet and more like a ghost. And maybe that's what she had become. For 7 days, she had lived in a fantasy. Risen from invisible to idolized. She was the girl everyone wanted to be. The girl everyone suddenly noticed. The girl people whispered about in the hallways. And then, overnight, she became a meme. A cautionary tale. An unfiltered screenshot passed around like gossip candy. She wasn't just bare-faced. She was broken. She didn't eat much that day. Every time she tried, the lump in her throat pushed everything back up. Her appetite had been replaced by anxiety. A constant, buzzing fear that any moment someone would tag her again, post something new, say something worse. She couldn't outrun the comments. Even when she shut her phone off. They lived in her head now. She laid in bed for hours. Watching the ceiling, counting every hairline crack in the plaster like they were tally marks for each part of herself that had been chipped away. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes of it. The photo. The caption. The way people laughed. The sound was silent, but the shame was deafening. Monday came like a slow, cruel wave. She considered skipping school. Faking sick. Saying she had the flu. But what good would that do? People were going to talk either way. People already were talking. So she dressed slowly. Plain jeans. Oversized hoodie. Hair in a loose bun. She didn't even bother with concealer. There was nothing left to hide. The walk into school felt different. Like the floor was heavier. Like the air had turned thick. Like every step was being watched. People didn't say much. But they didn't have to. Their eyes said enough. Pity. Amusement. Discomfort. Some looked away too quickly. Others looked too long. But no one said hello. Not even the ones who used to call her pretty. In class, she sat in the far back. Her old seat. It felt like regression, but also like refuge. The teacher didn't call on her. Thank God. Ava didn't know if she even remembered how to speak in front of people anymore. During break, she avoided the cafeteria. She sat on the cold metal bench behind the gym, alone. She scrolled through her phone, even though she didn't want to. She just couldn't stop herself. It was like reopening a wound, over and over again. Part punishment, part hope. Hope that maybe the worst had passed. Hope that maybe someone had posted something kind. They hadn't. But there was one message. Nadia. Again. This time it read, "You don't have to go through this alone." And Ava. She believed her. But she didn't know how to let someone in. Not anymore. Not after everything. Later that day, she heard it again. The nickname. Filter fish. She didn't know who said it. Didn't want to. But it echoed in her skull like a fire alarm. Loud. Ugly. Alarming. She laughed. A tiny, breathless chuckle. Because what else could she do? She had cried enough. Maybe too much. So now she just laughed. Not because it was funny. But because it was unreal. By the time school ended, Ava felt hollow. Like someone had scooped out all the good inside her and left the shell behind. She walked home in silence. Head down. Hands deep in her pockets. The world kept moving. Cars passed. Birds chirped. People laughed on the sidewalk. And it all felt so wrong. How could life go on when hers had paused? At home, she went straight to her room. Her mom called her for dinner. She didn't answer. Just stared at her ceiling again. This time, she imagined peeling the layers of her skin off. Wiping away the persona she had built. Returning to zero. She wanted to start over. She needed to. But she didn't know how. She clicked open her camera app. Front-facing. Bare-faced. There she was. The same Ava from before the glow-up. But not the same at all. This Ava looked wounded. Tired. But real. And she hated that she didn't know how to love this version of herself. She took a picture anyway. No filter. No pose. Just her. She stared at it for a while. Then set it as her lock screen. Not because she liked it. But because she needed to learn to face it. To face her. Nadia came over that night. Uninvited. Unannounced. She didn't bring makeup wipes or tissues. Just snacks and a blanket. She sat on the edge of Ava's bed and said, "Want to watch something dumb?" Ava nodded. They watched old Disney movies. Talked a little. Laughed once or twice. And for the first time in days, Ava felt almost okay. Not fixed. Not healed. But seen. And that was enough, for now. Days passed. The noise faded. People moved on. A new drama took over. Another girl. Another scandal. Ava was old news. And strangely, she was grateful. The silence she once feared now felt like safety. But that didn't mean the pain was gone. She still doubted herself. Still second-guessed every post. Still flinched when someone opened their camera near her. But slowly, she began picking up the pieces. She returned to old hobbies. Started journaling. Took walks without her phone. She let herself cry when she needed to. And smiled when it came naturally. She even posted again. Just a photo of her hand holding a coffee. No caption. No face. Just presence. It was her quiet way of saying, "I'm still here." And then, one afternoon, she posted the photo. The photo. The one from her lock screen. The one where she looked soft, undone, and entirely human. She captioned it, "This is me. I'm tired, I'm healing, and I'm still learning how to love her." The comments poured in. Not thousands. Just a few. But they mattered. "You're beautiful. This takes courage. Thank you for showing us the real you." And just like that, Ava realized she wasn't alone. She wasn't the only girl who had tied her worth to a winged eyeliner. She wasn't the only one who had mistaken likes for love. She wasn't the only one who broke when the mask fell off. And that truth? It held power. Because maybe being bare-faced and broken wasn't the end. Maybe it was the beginning. The beginning of a girl learning to stand without filters. Without applause. Without needing the world to validate her reflection. Just her. On her terms. There comes a point. After the memes fade. After the apologies stop. After the silence wraps itself around your throat like a scarf made of thorns. When the only thing louder than the noise is the absence of it. Ava had gone dark. No posts. No comments. No replies. Her profile sat untouched like a house with the lights off and curtains drawn. And at first, no one noticed. But then the DMs trickled in. Are you okay? Where did you go? You haven't posted in days. Funny how people only care when they sense you might actually disappear. It wasn't that Ava had planned to disappear. She just needed to be gone. From the screens. From the stairs. From herself. She deleted the apps. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. Gone. Her phone suddenly felt lighter. Her chest, heavier. Because what do you do when the only world you knew starts choking you? You run. Or you fall. The days blurred. One melted into another. No selfies. No school stories. No group chats pinging. She stayed in bed longer. Let the sun creep across her room without ever moving to greet it. Food lost its flavor. Music, its meaning. Her reflection, its relevance. She began avoiding mirrors. Not because of how she looked, but because of how empty she felt when she saw herself. Nadia tried to reach her. Knocked on her door. Sent voice notes. Even wrote a letter. But Ava couldn't respond. Not because she didn't care, but because she didn't know if she could explain it without crying. And she was tired of crying. Cried out. Wrung dry. All she had left now were sighs and silence. One night, she sat in her closet. Lights off. Wrapped in an old sweatshirt from before the glow up. Before the viral fame. Before the downfall. She sat there, knees to her chest, staring at the tiny blue light on her phone charger blinking in the dark. It was strange how something so small could feel like a siren, calling her back to the life she was trying to escape. And for the first time since the photo leaked, Ava wondered if she still wanted to keep trying to survive, to be liked, to be anyone at all. The thoughts weren't loud, not violent, just persistent. What if you never posted again? Would anyone care? Would it be peaceful? But before the thoughts could go deeper, there was a knock at her bedroom door. Ava, her mother's voice called softly. We're worried about you. Ava didn't answer, didn't move. She waited. Eventually, the footsteps faded, and she was alone again. Until the next morning, when she found a note slipped under her door. It was from Nadia. 2 sentences, scribbled in thick black pen. I don't need you to be okay. I just need you to come back. Something cracked inside her. Not a breakdown. Not another wave of shame. Just a shift. A slow, aching realization. She'd been so afraid of being seen without makeup. She forgot how dangerous it was to become invisible entirely. She sat up, pulled herself out of the closet. She didn't shower, didn't fix her hair, but she opened the window, let the wind in, and for the first time in days, she breathed like she meant it. She didn't go online yet, wasn't ready, but she picked up her journal, the one she used to scribble dreams in before everything changed. She flipped to a clean page, and wrote, I am not what they posted. I am not the comments. I am still here, even if I don't know who that is yet. It was small, but it was a beginning. And Ava? She needed one. That afternoon, Nadia came by. Again. This time, Ava opened the door. She didn't speak. Didn't need to. Nadia just hugged her. Held her so tight it felt like glue for all the shattered parts. And Ava cried. But this time, it was different. It wasn't hopeless. It was healing. They walked around the block that evening. Ava in sweats. No makeup. Hair tied messily. She kept her head down, unsure if anyone would recognize her. But she realized. She didn't care. For once, she didn't care. Later that week, Ava logged into Instagram again. Not to scroll. Not to post. Just to see. To confront the battlefield. The tagged photos were still there. So were the memes. But now, they felt distant. Like echoes from a nightmare she'd finally woken up from. She didn't delete them. She could have. But she didn't. Because erasing the evidence wouldn't erase the pain. And maybe, it could help someone else feel less alone. She opened her story. Typed one line over a plain gray background. Healing offline. Back when I'm ready. She hit post. Turned off her notifications again. Then walked into the kitchen, sat with her mom, and ate dinner without checking her phone once. Ava started therapy. At first, it was awkward. She wasn't used to talking about herself without filters, even in real life. But slowly, she began unpacking it all. The pressure, the likes, the way beauty became performance instead of expression. And she cried, again. But it felt honest. A release, not a collapse. Weeks passed. She didn't return to the spotlight. didn't chase followers. But she came back to herself. In small ways. Doodling eyeliner looks in her journal. Baking cookies with her mom. Laughing with Nadia about how absurd everything had become. One day, she caught her reflection in the mirror. Bare skin. New blemish on her chin. Uneven brows. But for the first time, she smiled. Not because she looked better, but because she looked real. And real felt safe. She posted a new photo eventually. Weeks after going offline. It wasn't a selfie. Just her hand holding a yellow flower. The caption? Still blooming. No hashtags. No explanations. Just truth. The response was quiet. Fewer likes than before. But deeper. More real. Ava had become a stranger to herself. Under layers of makeup, filters, expectation. She'd forgotten what being her really felt like. For weeks, she existed stripped down. Offline. Unnoticed. Bare. But out of that darkness, something began to stir. A flicker. A spark. A promise. That maybe, the real Ava wasn't lost. She was just waiting. It started small. She doodled in her journal again. Little hearts, abstract faces, scribbled lipstick swatches. All without pressure. She laughed at a knock-knock joke in class. No camera. No audience. Just her. She woke in the morning and told herself, today, nothing perfect. Nothing polished. Just honest. She posted again. A bare-faced selfie, eyes bright, hair tied back. Caption. Learning to wake up in my own skin. No filter. No outline. Just me. The response? Not explosive. But real. A few comments. You look beautiful. Thank you for this. So proud of your bravery. Not thousands of likes. But 1,000 whispers mattered more. True words. True presence. True selves connecting. She reached out to Nadia. Not for help, but to rebuild. They sat in the park with iced tea. Just chat. Just friendship. Ava realized that popularity wasn't about followers. It was about connection. Moments came. An art assignment she poured herself into. A text from a teacher, your voice in class matters. A group project invite, from classmates she'd never talked to before. Not because of how she looked, but because she showed up. She even walked into school one morning. No makeup, no filters, no mask. Heads quietly turned. Some gasps, some smiles. She smiled back. Steady. Real. No defiance. No shame. Just acceptance. Her presence said, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. At home that evening, her mom found her flipping through old photos. Birthday parties, family dinners. Moments she had loved before the viral storm. Ava paused at a childhood picture, her bare face lit by candlelight. She whispered, I want that back. She started a video series, short, honest, unfiltered. Morning chats. Coffee moments. Conversations about imperfections, anxiety, healing. She called it, Real with Ava. No high production. No glam. Just her voice. Her face. Her truth. Critics were quiet. Supporters? Growing. One commenter wrote, I watched you fall apart. Now I'm watching you rise. Thank you. Ava couldn't stop the tears. Tears of relief. Tears of release. Tears of becoming. In school, Nadia introduced her to a new student. She's real, Nadia whispered. She's someone you can trust. Ava smiled. It wasn't about being queen anymore. It was about being present. That evening, she stood in her mirror. Bare-faced. No illusions. She saw softness, depth, history. And she whispered, this is me. The next morning, she logged in, not to chase likes, but to tell a story. A story of vanity and value. Of illusion and identity. Of pain and perseverance. I became the most popular girl overnight, she titled her highlight. Then paused. Then typed, asterisk asterisk, but what I lost along the way was myself. 7 days of perfection. 7 days of pressure. 7 days of pretending. And 7 days after, someone leaked my bare-faced photo. I thought it broke me. But it didn't. It grounded me. Because for the first time, I realized, the real me is the one worth showing. Not the filters. Not the glam. Just me. And if you're still here, if you've ever felt you weren't enough without the makeup, the mask, the highlight, I see you. I'm with you. And maybe, you're more than enough too, asterisk. She posted it, then closed her phone, walked outside, took the sunlight on her face, took a deep breath, and smiled. Because sometimes, the hardest journey leads you home. There are moments in life that don't just change your story. They change you. A single picture. A single post. A single breath between being adored and being abandoned. For Ava, it started with filters, fame, and fast followers. It ended with something far more fragile. And far more real. She had lost herself somewhere in the spotlight. But now, something inside her was calling her back. It was a quiet morning. The kind that doesn't demand anything. No pings from her phone. No alarm blaring. Just silence, and sunlight creeping across her blanket. She stirred, blinking into the soft light. No plans to glam up. No new content to post. No pressure to perform. Just a moment, to breathe. She sat up, slowly, letting the sheets fall away. And then she saw it, her reflection. Not the it girl. Not the trending face. Not the most followed. Just Ava. Her eyes weren't outlined in perfect eyeliner. Her lips weren't glossed. Her skin wasn't airbrushed or bronzed. And yet, she was there. Present. Whole. And something about that moment made her pause. She tilted her head slightly, studying the girl looking back. There was something familiar in her eyes. Not fame. Not fear. But memory. The memory of who she used to be. Before the glow up. Before the 7 days of chaos. Before the storm of judgment. That girl still existed. Still lived somewhere in her. In that reflection. And Ava, she wanted to know her again. For the first time in weeks, she didn't rush to change her face. She didn't flinch at the uneven brows or the blemish on her chin. She didn't hide behind a front-facing camera. She simply looked. And in that stillness, something cracked open. Not in pain, but in release. A single tear slipped down her cheek. She didn't wipe it away. Because this wasn't a tear of shame. It was the kind of tear that comes when the truth is finally too big to keep buried. She remembered who she'd left behind. The girl who used to laugh with her mom while baking cookies. The one who giggled until her stomach hurt when Nadia made bad puns. The version of herself that didn't worry about perfect lighting or online trends. And for the first time since it all began, she missed her. Ava stood slowly and reached toward her dresser, picking up a framed photo. It was from her last birthday. She was caught mid-laugh, eyes squinting, mouth open, frosting on her cheek. Her hair was messy, and her face? Completely bare. And yet, she looked so alive. She held the photo to her chest, closed her eyes, and smiled. Because that girl was still inside her. Waiting to be seen. Waiting to be welcomed home. She whispered to herself, "I spent so long chasing likes. I forgot how to like me." She opened her eyes again and looked at the mirror. The girl staring back wasn't perfect. She wasn't polished. But she was healing. Honest. Real. And in that raw, vulnerable truth, she was enough. More than enough. Ava didn't need a million likes to validate her anymore. She didn't need strangers to decide if she was worthy of attention. Because now, she saw herself. And that was everything. The days that followed weren't about reinvention. They were about reconnection. She started writing again, filling pages with thoughts, sketches, and feelings she hadn't dared admit. She found joy in the small things, warm cookies, fresh air, unplanned laughter. She even started a series, something raw and unfiltered. She called it, Real with Ava. No edits. No facades. Just truth. She talked about the pressures of perfection. The shame of being seen without a mask. The courage it took to stand bare-faced, and still be proud. People listened. Not because she looked flawless, but because she wasn't. She was honest. And in a world obsessed with the perfect image, her honesty felt like oxygen. For her. And for everyone watching. One afternoon, she sat in her room again. No cameras. No script. Just her and the mirror. She stared for a long moment. Not to criticize. Not to fix. Just to see. She leaned in and whispered to her reflection, "I see you." Not "I wish you looked different." Not "you should try harder." Just, "I see you." And she smiled. Because the girl in the mirror had survived. The viral storm. The broken friendships. The fear of being exposed. She had survived, and she had grown. Ava realized then that she was no longer the girl who crumbled under the weight of internet fame. She wasn't the girl who measured her worth in followers. She wasn't the girl who believed beauty had to be earned. She was Ava. Soft. Strong. Still blooming. And the glow she carried now? It came from within. To every girl who's ever stood in front of a mirror and questioned her worth. To every girl who's ever hidden behind a screen, wondering if she was enough. To every girl who's been made to feel small by likes, comments, and strangers' opinions. This is for you. You don't need the world's permission to be beautiful. You already are. Not because you're flawless, but because you're real. So the next time you see your reflection, don't ask, what needs fixing? Ask, what have I forgotten to love? Because the girl in the mirror? She's worth knowing. And so are you. There comes a time in every girl's life when the mirror feels more like a battlefield than a reflection. Some mornings you wake up and don't recognize the face staring back. The same eyes, the same features, but the connection? Gone. You tilt your head, trying to find her. The girl you used to be. The one who smiled without checking her angles. The one who didn't apologize for bare skin or messy hair. And maybe, just maybe, you started to believe she's gone for good. But she's not. She's still in there. Waiting. This story was never just about Ava. It was always about you. Yes, you. You, who's had days, or weeks, maybe even years, where you felt like fading into the background. You, who stood in front of the mirror and whispered quietly, if only I looked like her. If only I had clearer skin. If only I wasn't so invisible. You, who measured your value by how many hearts showed up on a screen, instead of how deeply you've ever loved, how bravely you've survived, or how quietly you've kept going, even when it hurt. If that's you, you're not alone. And you never were. The world can be loud. It'll tell you your worth is tied to your waistline, your highlight, your followers. It'll try to convince you that your beauty only matters when it's approved by strangers. Ava believed that too, for a moment. She believed that flawless skin, the perfect feed, and the right lighting were the keys to being seen. But here's what she learned, and what she hopes you remember. You're not a project. You're not an algorithm to decode. You are not a trend to keep up with. You are a person. Whole. Imperfect. Beautiful. The kind of beautiful that doesn't fade when the makeup comes off. The kind of beauty that blooms from kindness, courage, and truth. Your bare face isn't something to fix. It's something to honor. Because in every freckle, every scar, every line that's lived through laughter or tears, is a piece of your story. And your story deserves to be told. Not just the polished pieces. Not just the days when everything feels Instagram worthy. But the mornings when you don't feel like enough. The nights when you cry and don't know why. The quiet moments when you're learning how to show up for yourself. That's what being real looks like. And being real? It's brave. So here's a little invitation. The next time you see your reflection, don't ask what needs fixing. Ask what needs loving. Ask what part of you has been hiding, waiting for a softer gaze. Ask what part of you wants to be held without judgment. And when you get the answer, don't look away. Hold eye contact with the girl in the mirror, even if it hurts a little. Because she's been waiting to be seen by you. Not the internet. Not strangers. You. Now, if you're ready, here's one more small challenge. Let go of the highlight reel. Let go of pretending you've got it all together. Instead, start showing your real real. That one thing that scares you. That one thing you secretly love about yourself. That thing that makes you wonderfully human. You don't need a million likes to matter. You just need the courage to be yourself. Even when it's quiet, even when it's messy. Because the realest glow up? It isn't the kind that comes from foundation, contour, or the perfect filter. It's the kind that happens when you finally stop hiding and choose to love the girl underneath it all. And if you're wondering whether anyone else feels this way, the answer is yes. Yes, there are girls just like you. In bedrooms across the world. In classrooms, on buses, on sidewalks. In silence. In self-doubt. In healing. You're not the only one who's felt unseen. You're not the only one who's wished to be someone else. But maybe, just maybe, you're also the one who starts something new. Something honest. Something bold. Something real. Let this be the moment where you decide. You don't need fixing. You don't need more approval. You don't need to change who you are to earn love. You just need to remember. You are already enough. Exactly as you are. Right now. And you are deeply, completely worthy of being seen. So to every girl who's ever felt invisible, you're not. To every girl who's ever felt too flawed, you're not. To every girl still searching for her glow. Maybe it was never in your highlighter. Maybe it was always in your heart. And maybe you're ready to let it shine. Take a second to whisper something kind to yourself today. Or better yet, share it. Say one thing you love about who you are. Let's remind each other that we don't walk this journey alone. And if Ava's story reminded you of something true within yourself, something raw, something soft, something that finally feels like you, then stay with us. Join the movement. Where stories like this aren't just told, they're felt, they're lived, they're shared. Because we're not here to perform, we're here to heal. We're here to hold each other close, one real story at a time. Thanks for watching.